Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode of the White Belt MMA podcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show today UFC Strawweight Elise Reed, who is just coming off a big win at UFC London a couple of weeks ago over Cory McKenna. So, Elise, I was talking off camera, you're probably getting a bunch of DMs from a bunch of people asking for interviews, a bunch of congratulatory messages. So, how's the feeling like after the big win?
It's great. I think I spoke of a finish. I would have loved to finish. I came really close between the second round, especially, but it was surreal. It honestly was surreal. I'm excited to do it again. Like I just want to get back in there and go again. And yeah, it's surreal. It's what everybody in my industry dreams of, is getting that win, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And I do have to ask though, right? Obviously, because your first fight was at the Apex, and then as to that, it's just going from 0 to 100 from the Apex to UFC London with that crowd that like people people are watching, and then they were saying it felt like they were comparing it to UFC Dublin. So how did the atmosphere feel like when you were walking into enemy territory?
It wasn't bad. I honestly expected worse. So I had my headphones in walking out. Because I figured I was going to get some booze, which I think I did. I know that they definitely saw or thought that she was hitting me a lot more than she was. So I know that I had to call that out a little bit. But no, it was the craziest part of it is, I think everybody sees the atmosphere and feels the intensity of that very moment. And I felt completely at home. So, I loved it. Like I can't wait to do it again. Obviously, staying in the U.S. would be nice to have some hometown fans, but no, I'd go back to London. It was a great experience.
Yeah. What was the celebration like? What you do after the win? Because I know after the win on TV is I saw you walk in the field there, and you said a little something to him. I don't know what you said, but it seemed like it was something that you were thinking between round 2 or round 3 that you kind of talked to him too. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had seen him earlier that day, and he had given me just some insight on, obviously he's from the U.S., I'm from the U.S., and he was like, listen, the energy is the energy, and that's the same. And after that second round, I think I was feeling pretty solid, feeling pretty good. And so I don't remember necessarily giving him a nod, but I trust what he saw. Definitely At the end of the fight, I kind of was like, okay, like, let's go. Like, it's on. So it was just boasting a little bit, a bit, and I didn't even I hadn't heard their commentary, so I hadn't watched the fight back, which made a lot more sense. But yeah, no, it was exciting. We got to change. We got to go watch the other fights, and I had plenty of beers that were provided for me by some new fans in London. So no, it was amazing to be in the stands, back watching other people, right? Other UFC fighters fight, knowing that was where I was like 20 minutes ago. So it was pretty fucking cool. It's pretty good.
Did you join into the Patty the Baddie entrance? Because that just looked awesome on TV.
It was, yeah. I was actually sitting next to somebody that didn't know who I was. And she had messed with my shirt a little bit, and she's like, you look like a Viking. I was like, I fight like a Viking. And I guess her friend had realized who I was and said, like, by the way, she just fought. So she was actually a fan of mine and knew Molly. So I got to like really understand and appreciate both Molly and Patty Pimblett. So yeah, I was definitely a fan.
Yeah,
you cannot be after that evening. You just can't.
yeah, definitely not. Obviously, like the spinning elbow, and then yeah, that was something else.
And it was the craziest thing is, like, obviously they're pulling the cameras away from the person that was like knocked unconscious.
Yeah,
and she didn't move for a really long time. It was the difference, right, in what you're seeing on the stage and what you're seeing in the stadium was crazy. But she's okay. Glad she's okay. But yeah. No, Molly, she crushed it. You can't get better than that. You just can't.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So yeah, so at least just to bring it back to you, right? Like, we just talked about like a super high moment in your career. But like, one thing I always love doing, like obviously when I bring fighters on here is talk about, how they get started into the sport of MMA, right? Because most people, right, they don't see this as a career when they first start out. Some people see it as a hobby. Other people, like they just get through it because of their family. So for you, what was your story?
I'm very competitive. I did, obviously I've done Taekwondo since I was a kid. And so we had plenty of tournaments and I would consistently win those tournaments. And I think I did like a kickboxing fight or exhibition. And it was like, when you think dirt league, like it's like a gym, nobody knows where you are, right? It's
Like pure Fight Club.
Oh yeah, like there's no rules. You got, 8-year-olds holding the ring card. Like it was just the lowest of the low, but we did it on purpose just to like test out how I do with full contact. And I loved it. And then I kind of got hooked from there because it was, a fight is the ultimate competition between you and one other person. So so from there, it was really just history. It was like I had my first MMA fight that ended really quick. And then, like you said, everybody hopes to get to where you're at, right, with the UFC, but it's never really always the intent.
Yeah.
Because like it's the UFC. Like this is some serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, my coach and I after each win and during each camp being like, okay, so if this goes well, this is what we're going to do next. And it was such a gradual progression that I remember sitting with him at a bar and we're drinking after one of our last wins. And he goes, we should probably go pro, don't you think? And I was like, yeah, let's go pro. And then from there, it's history. But no, it was my competition. I really love competition. And it's just, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. And so to do it on the, MMA's biggest stage is, I'm very grateful and fortunate to be able to do that. But it definitely started as a gradual progression. I was like, all right, I knocked this person out. Let's go again. All right, I got this belt. Let's do this again. And that's just been the journey ever since.
Yeah, definitely. Did like the people around you, like obviously your coach and you were seeing like the gradual progression of like, okay, I think we should go pro, but like the people around you, like let's say friends or anything like that, they didn't really understand it. Like, did they like fully like they're like, okay, this is definitely where Elise is going in her path, and they were like, are you sure you kind of want to go into this? Like, this is a little out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I own a martial arts school, and I think everybody there, all my students, are 100% supportive, right? None of them were going to be like, no, don't do that. But my mom and then my athletic trainer didn't even know what it was. So my mom didn't like it. She would always, like, I love my mom. She's a great individual. She's an angel. But she would always have to have, a Tanqueray and tonic just to get herself to where she's like, okay, now we're going to watch this fight. And it's like very high anxiety and tensions. And I remember after my last amateur fight, she's like, you're really good at this. And I said, I know, Mom. She goes, okay. Like, then she gave me the blessing. It took 8 fights for me to get the blessing from her. And my athletic trainer that I took on when I became a pro didn't even understand really how big it was. It's like, yeah, I'm an MMA. I'm going to debut with Bellator. They saw it as like a jiu-jitsu competition on the weekends. You know what I mean? Like, all right, like she says she fights. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's caught everybody by surprise a little bit in terms of how big these moments can get. And even now, it's like I tell my mom, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, we're doing some good things. She goes, keep your head down. I said, absolutely, always will. But no, we're ready. We're ready to go. We're definitely we're jumping on real quick. We're understanding real quick.
100%. And then for your first pro fight to be Bellator, like how did that feel? I mean, especially at the Mohegan Sun, that it's a really nice casino and then like a really good venue. So like, were the nerves there, or you were just there like, hey, just another day in the office?
I mean, there shouldn't have been. Looking back on it, there shouldn't have been. The opponent wasn't the most high class opponent. If you do any Google searches, you'll understand why. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just a reality check type thing, like At the end of the day, exactly right. I got in there, I did what I needed to do. It became very apparent as soon as the bell rung that it was just another day. But to do the photos and to look down and wear Bellator shorts or gloves, it's like, oh, like we're doing this for real. Like it was really cool. But I do have to give the credit to the amateur leagues, Spartica and Capezilla, and the organizations I fought for before, is they were very well run to where it wasn't as big of a shock as it probably could have been. You know what I mean? Had I stayed in those dirt leagues where it was like in somebody's gym and you
like a smoker, like a smoker fight.
Yeah. Like the lights are still on and you just walk out by yourself. Like the amateur leagues that I was a part of were very well run, and so at least it helped me a little bit in that regard. But no, I think every moment in my professional career has been kind of a, like, I get to step back and be like, okay, so we're doing this again. All right, so we're stepping it up a little bit. So
that's awesome. And then, yeah, I mean, just to kind of, fast track to, you get in that call for the UFC, right? Like you said, it's a short notice fight. You're fighting in a weight class that, was definitely not your weight class. But tell us about how that opportunity came up, because like you said, it's like no one would have faulted you for just saying yes to the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like,
I took care of Hillary Rose. She's a very, very good martial artist. She obviously was on Contender Series. I knew Cheyenne Baez, who's now, I think, Vilmas, really good fighter in the UFC. And so I think having that win in that way, I knew that I was very close to at least being at the caliber that the UFC wanted, just with that, just how I took care of that. And then the next day of that fight, I was on military duty. So I left California for 2 weeks to do Army things. And while I was in Army training, they gave me a call. They said, like, hey, I got a short notice. That was actually Manon Firo, the 125. And I was going to take that opportunity, but they had filled it too quickly. So less than a week after the Hillary Rose fight, I already knew that the UFC was like, by the way, we have a short notice, like it's going to come to you. So we had told our manager that we would take a 125 or 115 short notice. Didn't necessarily know who the opponent was, which may have changed my answer a little bit. But no, I mean, my coach and I have never strayed from a challenge, and that is the reason why I'm where I'm at in 6 fights as a professional. You know what I mean? Like, I think I just hit 2 years this past October as a pro, which is uncalled for, unknown. But it's with opportunities like that where, yeah, okay, so we'll take on ranked bantamweight at 125. I'll try to make 125 the best I can. But no, it's matched the same opportunity with London. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think very many people would have stood like, well, I mean, I know everybody counted me out, right? It was 2-1 odds, even going into the 3rd round. So, hey.
But like you said, I mean, like I said earlier, nobody would have faulted you. I mean, that was your opportunity to make it to the UFC, the top of the top. So, props to you. But I have to ask, because I always love like asking fighters this, especially like their first time being in the Apex, being in the Performance Institute. Like, how did it feel going in there? And then like you're probably seeing like people you've seen on TV for like years, and you're like, holy crap! Like I'm probably like, for me, I'll be starstruck. So I don't know what the case for you.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think there at some point has to be a change mentally where you understand that you're in the league for a reason, right? But it was a surreal experience. It was, we get to the hotel and they have the whole hotel. UFC has contracted the whole hotel, right? Normally I'm like, hey, you get a room, whole hotel. I get 3 rooms. I get all my gear, body armor, drinks all around, like. And then to be a part of the Performance Institute, I mean, it was completely surreal. Dillashaw was on the card. I was like,
that's crazy.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was definitely something where my coach and I, because we've been watching UFC obviously for a while, we're able to step back and just acknowledge the moment in what it is. Yeah, no, I mean, to be a part of the UFC is one thing, which is great. That debut happened for a reason. Obviously, to get the win in London was the real prize there. But no, the whole week was, I mean, I was on cloud 9.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
Like,
like you said,
you just can't not be.
No. And especially after your last win, you know what I mean? So, at least like I have to ask, right? Because like I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're busy. Is one of the last few questions I do want to ask is
Yeah.
you mentioned it earlier, right? You're saying that you own a martial arts school. So tell us about how that came about, because that's pretty cool, you getting into martial arts and now you're kind of passing in your knowledge to the new generation.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I wanted to be a Power Ranger. That's how it started.
There you go.
Not quite there yet, so I'll keep working on it. But it was, my real only job was being a martial artist. I'm in the military as part-time, but my full-time job has always been a martial artist. When I started working when I was 14 under John Canabay, I really loved it. I just found a passion for teaching and challenging, kids, right? Like 6 to 12-year-old kids. I went to college and I came back and I realized that I just missed having those experiences. And Mr. Canabay was at a point where he could sell me the school, which which is really nice to be able to have, right? Where you have somebody that's looking out for you for the last, 4 or 5 years, and they say, hey, by the way, if you want a school, it's yours. So it's just been something that I've always loved, and it was a natural progression, kind of just like fighting. I knew that I wanted a school more than I knew that I was going to be in the UFC. So now I have to work things around a little bit, but no, it's I'm very grateful to have an opportunity to be able to go every day into what I love, and more so, I get to sleep in. So that was another 100%. Reason why, I work 4 to 8.
There you go.
And that's it. But I'm looking forward to building KickSide, building the school, and creating a force to be reckoned with, both in the Taekwondo world, but also in MMA.
That's awesome. And as a teacher, though, like for you, like, is there like a certain moment that you kind of go back to that you're like, see, those are the moments that like, I do this for, right? Because they're probably like you showing a kick to like a student, and then like you just see their eyes glow up. So is that for you like kind of the case that those are the moments that you love?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a very honest and grandeur type of idea, right? And it can seem a little silly when you talk about MMA and beating people up and just getting yourself mentally conditioned for that. But to be able to give a kid at 12, 13, 14, the mindset where if they just work hard enough that they can do whatever they want is 100% what I'm there for. And so specifically those moments is the black belt test. So our black belt test is 3.5 hours long. From the last one, you ask anybody, they're like 12 to maybe 18, right? Some of the adults as well. They go through this test and they are on the brink of tears. They hate me and everybody else that's a part of it. And they already worked, 4 or 5 years to get there, and to be able to put all that effort in those 3 hours where they just feel mentally and physically broken. There are very few opportunities now as a kid that you can be challenged in that regard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everybody gets a trophy now. Nobody wants to hurt each other's feelings. And I tell you, the last time we did a black belt test, I'm like yelling at these kids and all their parents are outside watching me. And I remember thinking like, doesn't look the best right now, because I am just berating these young children. Half of them cried. But at the end of the day, they're so proud of that experience, and it sets them up to be able to conquer a lot more than what they expect, because they have to pull from more than they thought that they could. So I got on a little bit of a pedestal there, but I absolutely love the black belt test. And it's just, again, it's very difficult as a kid to go through those experiences, and that, at least for me personally, has set myself up to be doing exactly what I'm doing. And so if I can give that back a little bit to somebody, or have one person think that way, as they get older, it's only going to benefit, the society and themselves. So yeah.
No, 100%. And that's awesome. And like you said, it's like, I can't wait to see you grow that school more, obviously you posting on your Instagram and all that. So,
yeah.
One last question here is, you kind of mentioned it, right? You want to grow the school, but, what are other goals you have for 2022? Like, whether it be personally or career wise?
We're gonna run this MMA thing into the ground. So
Yeah.
I want to be very active. I'm not like this past layoff that I had. I did not like it. I would rather be moving the entire time. And I'm fortunate that I have so many different avenues where I can keep my mind and body engaged, right? Whether it's KickSide or military or MMA. But I think this next half of the year is going to be very busy, both for the school, but also for MMA. And my biggest goal is to take my traditional martial arts program, combine it with the MMA knowledge that I have, and really build something that's known as a kind of a premier school in central New Jersey. So yeah, we're gonna hit. You're gonna see my name a lot coming up in these next few months. I'm hoping another 2 fights before the end of the year, just to run it out and get myself active again.
There we go. Can't wait to see it. So, Elise, once again, thank you for the time. It really means a lot. So before we go, do you want to plug in all your social medias, any sponsors you want to give a shout out before we go?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So John Canabay, KickSide Martial Arts, that's my coach in the school. I just recently picked up Chow Meals, which is a veteran run and owned organization that does meal prep, and their stuff is amazing. And then that's about it. Those three. I got a small but very strong team behind me.
There we go. So Elise, once again, thank you. Hopefully we can do this again, right before your fights or after that in the future. And to everyone watching, peace.